All right, so today we're going to do something a little different. Instead of just running through a clinical checklist of the early signs of autism, we're going to dive into a really personal story. It's about one family and their two sons who are both on the spectrum, but in totally different ways. It's all about seeing just how diverse autism can be, right from a mother's perspective.
And this right here, this is where it all starts. It's such a simple sentence, but wow, it's powerful, right? A mother just laying it out there, opening up about her family. It's a huge reminder that we're not just talking about clinical terms here. We're talking about real families, real people, figuring out what these early signs look like in their everyday lives. So let's meet Ezra and Simon. They're brothers, but you'll see their experiences with autism couldn't be more different. For Ezra, the signs started showing up really, really early. But for Simon, much, much more subtle. And their story, honestly, is the perfect example of why we say autism isn't just one thing. It really is a spectrum. Okay, so where do you even start looking for the first signs? Well, a lot of the time it comes down to social connection. You know, how a baby starts to interact, or maybe doesn't interact, with the world and especially the people around them. Let's start with the social smile. And listen, this is not just any smile. We're talking about something specific. Around 3 months old, a baby might see you smile and then they smile right back. It's on purpose. It's like, I see you, you see me. It's a real connection, a two-way street. And this is where it gets super interesting because the details really matter. Their mom described Ezra as her happiest kid. He was always smiling and laughing, especially when they were out on adventures. But here's the key. His smiles weren't a response to someone. They were just happy smiles. Simon, on the other hand, also didn't have that social smile as a baby. But get this, he was able to learn it, and learned it pretty fast. So you've got two totally different paths leading to the same early sign. And for their mom, this is when the other puzzle pieces started to click into place. She'd remember walking into Ezra's room, calling his name, and just nothing. No reaction. Even when she held him super close, that direct eye-to-eye connection just wasn't happening. He didn't seem to, look for her or try to get her attention. All these little things, these subtle signs, they were all pointing in the same direction. A different way of connecting with the world. All right, next up, let's look at how this can show up in the way kids focus and play. This is all about how a child interacts with stuff, objects, their environment, not just with people. This one is a big deal. It's called sharing the moment. You know that thing a baby does? They see something cool, maybe a bird outside the window, and they look at it, but then they look right back at you. It's like they're saying, "Whoa, you seeing this?" That little glance back, that impulse to share the excitement, is a huge part of our social development. This really came to life during Simon's autism assessment. The psychologist was playing with him. She showed him how to wash a little doll in a toy tub. Then she just sat back and watched. Simon was totally into it, just completely absorbed by the doll and the water. But the entire time, he never once looked up at her, not to see if she was watching, not to share how cool it was. Now here's where the spectrum part really slaps you in the face. Ezra was put in the exact same situation. And his response? It wasn't quiet focus. Nope. He just threw everything. The doll, the tub, all of it. So you have two completely opposite reactions, right? But both were seen as autistic responses. Why? Because neither one involved that crucial little step of socially sharing the moment. And you see this different way of engaging pop up in how they play, too. So instead of making a toy car go vroom vroom, a child might get completely fascinated with just spinning one of its wheels over and over. Or, like with Ezra, when other babies were around, he'd tend to move away from them instead of toward them. It's not about being unfriendly, it's just a totally different social and sensory wiring. Okay, let's switch gears a bit and talk about comfort and needs. Because the earliest signs can definitely show up here as well. It's all about learning to interpret their signals. So for some babies, being held or cuddled can actually be a lot. From a sensory point of view, it can be overwhelming. And it's so important to get this. It's not about a lack of love or not wanting to connect. It can literally be about physical discomfort. And you guessed it, the two brothers show us both sides of the coin. Ezra really did not like being held. It actually got to the point where his parents would prop his bottle up on a blanket so he could eat without having to be in their arms. But Simon, he was fine with it, even enjoyed it. This is so key. It's not a hard and fast rule, but it's a potential sign you want to be aware of. Man, this quote from their mom just hits you. She remembers thinking Ezra was just an easy baby because he only ever cried when he was hungry or needed a diaper change. He never really cried for comfort. At the time, that seemed like a good thing, but looking back, she realizes that maybe, just maybe, that was an early sign too. Babbling is another huge milestone, right? But it's not just about the sounds themselves. The real difference can be the intent behind it. Is the baby babbling at you, like they're trying to tell you something? Or are they just kind of babbling to themselves, almost like they're just enjoying the sounds? So for Ezra, he started babbling right on schedule, around 6 months. But then by 9 months, it just stopped. That kind of regression can be a major red flag. Simon, on the other hand, babbled up a storm, but his psychologist pointed something out. He was babbling to himself, not at his parents. He wasn't using it to try and communicate. Again, it's a subtle difference, but a really significant one. So we've walked through this family's story, we've seen all of these different signs. What does it all mean? How do we go from just being aware of these things to actually providing good, meaningful support? If there's one thing to take away from Ezra and Simon's story, it's this. Autism is a massive spectrum. The signs in one child can look like the complete opposite of the signs in another. This is absolutely not a checklist to diagnose your kid. It's about awareness. And maybe the most important message from their mom is to trust your gut. If you feel like something is different, it's always worth talking to a doctor about it. And that really just leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Seeing these signs isn't about finding something wrong. It's about beginning a journey of deeper understanding. It forces us to ask a better question. Beyond any label, what does this amazing, unique little person right in front of me actually need to feel safe, understood, and ready to thrive? And how can I be the one to help give them that?